Welcome to the Daily Review. This is Razak, Senior Trading Strategist here at CMTrading. And today is July 26, 2024, and today is Friday morning. So looking at the highlights of the day, the Japanese yen continues to strengthen versus the dollar, but more importantly, versus the British pound. But first, looking at today's major economic events, so at 2:30 South African time, out of the United States, we have a PCE Price Index number coming out. Now, looking at the various markets, starting out with the Forex symbols, the US dollar doesn't look like it's bottoming out versus the major pairs besides the Japanese yen, and the Turkish Lira back on its record lows. Now, shifting over to the indices, the Dow Jones and the Nasdaq are mixed. Now, looking at commodities, gold tapers lower while oil gets a bounce. So looking at the stock, Tesla gets a bounce this time after that massive sell-off, and Google and Microsoft get a sell-off. Now, lastly, look at cryptocurrencies. Bitcoin gets a bounce as well. So let's take a look at the markets and see what we can expect from today's trading. So for the most part of the week, we saw the US dollar actually getting stronger versus the major pairs, okay, almost unanimously besides the Japanese yen, which got stronger than the dollar. However, does it look like it's bottoming out? Yes, it does, because after we get 2 consecutive days of tapering off. Now, we're starting out with the Euro USD. We got close to that 200-day moving average, but we didn't break it. We didn't even hit it, okay? But it does look like it's bouncing here, and the GBP USD also a little bit of a bounce. But the more important one is the Australian dollar. So initially, the Australian dollar did get much weaker versus the dollar, okay, as it completely nosedived here, all right? So that is potentially a point where we see it actually flip and get stronger. Now, looking at the Japanese yen, a tremendous move. That's over 800 pips, okay, since the beginning of just a couple of weeks ago, all right? You could see that much clearer here. It's just 2 to 3 weeks of trading of almost 800 pips. That's amazing for the Japanese yen. Now, it does look like the Japanese yen is getting stronger. If it's going to get stronger versus the dollar, it is in a better place. And that's good because that means inflation is in check. And we may see that tapering off. Now, the markets might be selling off and the markets might be still responding to it. But this is something to look at and continue to look at as this is unfolding. Now, looking at commodities, gold gets a little bit of a bounce after tapering off and selling off, but it did taper lower. Now, the question is whether or not this is going to be a bull flag, all right? It's going to get that bounce, it's going to retrace, and then it's going to go higher. That might be what's going to happen here. Keep an eye on it. Now, looking at crude oil, gets a little bit more of a bounce as well as that hits supportish level at $77 a barrel. Now, jumping into the U.S. markets, all right? They did rally yesterday a little bit. Okay, the reason I say a little bit is because they did get a little bit of a bounce yesterday. Could be some short covering, all right, and producing that bounce. And the NASDAQ even less, okay, but did hit that support level at 19,000. That's an important round number. Now, looking at specific stocks, Microsoft, look at that. Look at that nosedive. Wow, 418 for 467 for just almost a week of trading, all right? This is a daily. So almost 2 weeks of trading, we've been like completely nosediving here. This is the third week, right, that we've been actually selling off. And the other one that sold off quite aggressively was Google. Okay, you could see that, a big gap down and a sell-off. The other one for the week was Intel. Now, it doesn't look like it, but it's 11%. Okay, that's a big retracement for Intel for the week, okay, as a sell-off happens. Now, Tesla did get a bounce. Not a big one, but you can see it. It was green on the board, which was a big deal. But let's see if this is actually sustainable, okay? If it's going to hold it or it's going to sell even more, as this has made a correctional move. Now, lastly, let's take a look at Bitcoin. Bitcoin gets a little bit of a bounce. It's going to challenge that 67,800-ish level. This, of course, is after this week. We got that ETF to go for Bitcoin, and that was a big deal with the SEC, but that's all factored in. So, you know, this is just a matter of getting some strength in, maybe some novice traders trading it, okay? But if it does challenge that 68 level again, might take it out, might take us back to 72,000. So that's something to look forward to as well. This is Razak. I want to wish you guys a great trading day. Thank you.